Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. You have tuned in to episode number 424 of Linux in the Ham Shack, the most terrific amateur radio podcast on the internet. This is our Weekender edition. It comes out right before the weekend. So we give you 2 weeks of great things you can try in the worlds of amateur radio and open source, and then we slide into hedonism and talk about food and drink and music and all the things that make life worth living. And I think this is 77? Six.
No,
okay,
6. I think, yeah.
Oh, because you put it up there, don't you?
Yeah, I started doing it last time, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I've got to get used to that now. So it's the 76th Weekender. Wow, hard to believe we've done 76 of these things. But anyway, before we get into all of the great things about life, including amateur radio, open source, and hedonism, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Russ, K5TUX.
I'm Cheryl, W5MOO.
And I'm Bill, NE4RD.
All right, and we're just going to dive right in. We start off with amateur radio topics on our Weekender edition, and this time we're going to have Bill do the contests that are coming up over the next couple of weeks, as he always does, and we'll let him tell you what you can participate in over the next fortnight. Trigger.
I'm level like 139.
You're anyway. Over Fortnite, aren't you now?
No, I started it back up again.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway. On that sad note, these contests come from contestcalendar.com, the most wonderful, amazing, non-fortnightly contestcalendar.com that there is. Here we go. We have this weekend, we have the WAE DX contest that's worked all Europe, if I remember correctly, and it starts at 0 Zulu August 14th to 23:59 Zulu August 15th. Bands there are 80 through 10, no work or 60 meters. Mode is CW, so this is the CW edition of it. And let's see here, what is it? The many leading contesters claim the WAEDC or the WEDIC, anyway, to be the most challenging contest
is very close to WEDIC. Never mind. But
yeah, I digress. Challenging contest of the year. Being a true blue DX contest, only intercontinental QSOs between DX and Europe are counted. Exception is the RTTY part, but we're not doing RTTY. We're doing CWs. So, therefore, the number of DX QSOs here may be similar to the amount of DX usually worked in the CQ worldwide. At least they hope so. Moreover, the unique features of the QTC traffic adds much fun and another operating challenge to the contest. So check out the rule book and you can learn all about that and maybe dust off that key and work some C-dubs this weekend. Also this weekend we have the Kentucky State Parks on the air. And again, if it's on the air and doing points, it's a contest, so that's why it's here. And this is running a short time on August 14th from 1400 Zulu to 2200 Zulu. Bands there are 160 through 10 meters, no work or 60 meters, of course. Modes are single sideband, CW, and digital. Only digital modes that are capable of sending the park ID are allowed. So I'm assuming probably not FTA. What is it? Murray State University Amateur Radio Club brings us this short contest to promote public awareness of ham radio and Kentucky's beautiful state park and national park system, to contribute to the recognition that Kentucky has a very diverse and wonderful ecology, to promote camaraderie within the ranks of the Kentucky amateur radio operators, and to encourage contact with other amateur radio operators around the state, country, and world, and to provide additional operating experience for amateur radio operators. So yeah, sounds like good fun. Nice short time there in the middle of the day. Good time to be out in the park. So catch them over there in Kentucky. For the State QSO Party Challenge and the Worked All QSO Parties, we have Maryland, DC. So MDC. So be on the lookout for that particular QSO party if you're interested in collecting MDC as a section or participating in the party challenge. Next weekend, what do we have next weekend here? The North American QSO Party. God, we seem to talk about this all the time. Well, that's because 3 of them happen in succession, like 2 weeks apart. So here we go. We're talking about the North American QSO Party. This is the single sideband edition. This one runs from 1800 Zulu August 21st to 0559 Zulu August 22nd. It's just basically a one-day thing. You work your Saturday. It's 160 meters through 10 meters, no work or 60 meters. And of course, this is also the one that you can build a group team of 5 AMs, and doesn't matter where you are in the country. You guys can make a composite team and compete in the team scores as well. So it's kind of fun to go ahead and do that. Also, we have the ARRL Rookie Roundup. This is the RIDI edition. And this is a short one as well. This is 1800 Zulu to 2359 Zulu, August 22nd. 80 meters through 10 meters, no work or 60. This is an event to encourage newly licensed operators, rookies in quotes, in North America, including territories and possessions, to operate on the HF bands and experience competitive amateur radio operating. Okay. Experienced operators, non-rookies, are strongly encouraged to participate and help new operators either on the air or in person. So it's a great time to bring someone over to your shack as long as they've had their shot. Or you guys are nice and physically distanced and maybe wear masks or whatever it takes to not spread COVID anymore. And you guys can participate together, and he'll teach you or she'll teach you all about RIDI and this short little almost a sprint length contest. So there you go. And for the State QSO Party Challenge for next week, there is none. There are no states on the air specifically for the WAQP or State QSO Party Challenge. So that's all we got for contests. What do we got for special events?
Nothing. No, just
nada.
So for special events coming up, we have a few. We have the Ohio D-Day reenactment and World War II living history special event. This will be operating from August 19th through the 22nd, 2000 to 0400 Zulu daily. Call sign is Whiskey 8 Delta. Frequencies on or about 1.885, 3.855, and 7.290. They'll be operating CW and phone, but only AM, because they're going to be using World War II era equipment. It's in Cincinnati, Ohio, using, as I said, period equipment. They'll include an SCR 177B, an SCR 284, an SCR 694, and others. And a link to the information on that will be in the show notes. So check it out. The next one I have has very little information about it as far as the notification they put on the ARRL, but there's much more information on the website, which of course is linked in the show notes, and of course has the secondary link to the event for which it is a special event. And it's the first train dispatch by telegraph back in 1851. This will be operating from August 21st, 1400 Zulu to August 22nd, 0200 Zulu. Call signs Kilo 2 Tango. Lots of operating frequencies, so they'll probably just be all over the bands. They'll be operating CW, digital, and phone. And there will be a certificate downloadable from the website. You just have to say, did you get a QSO from us? And you put in your deets, and they will match them up with their own and send you a cert. Deets and certs and acronyms and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, source and additional info will, of course, be in the show notes. Check that out. And one we have talked about before, a big one, I guess. The Amateur Radio Software Awards. They'll be operating at various times and various modes on various bands from August 27th through September 5th. Special event stations are Kilo 2 Alpha, Kilo 2 Romeo, and Kilo 2 Sierra. They'll be operating from Iowa, Colorado, and Washington State to promote free and open amateur radio software. Yay! That's what we do. During the event, the 2021 Amateur Radio Software recipient Jordan Shear will be honored for his JS8 Call Digital Communication Software. Nominations for the 2022 awards will also be encouraged. Please use QSL with a SAZA, self-addressed stamped envelope. The Amateur Radio Software Award is an annual international award for the recognition of software projects that enhance amateur radio. The award aims to promote amateur radio software development which adhere to the same spirit of it as amateur radio itself, innovative, free, and open. For more information about the Amateur Radio Software Award or a detailed schedule of the special event, check out the link that is in the show notes. So there you go. That's all I got. There's more, but we don't tell you about all of them. You got to do some work for yourself. It turns out that Tony wants me to mention the Huntsville Ham Fest in our announcement section.
I was wondering if it had been canceled. I see they have a sort of a news thing for from August 11th.
Well, assuming it's not canceled, it will be on August 21st from 9 to 4:30 and August 22nd from 9 to 3. There will, of course, be lots of vendors and lots of flea market booths and everything else there. It's down in Huntsville, Alabama, of course. They call it the world's friendliest ham fest. And if it actually happens and it's an in-person event, you'll probably see Tony, K4XSS, there.
Well, they do have a quick news thing if you want to, if this is the
they have a PR
section.
thing, so go ahead and do the press release.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just read this real quick. It's a short copy. This was released August 11th, 2021. Through the year, we've been encouraged by declining hospitalization rates and positive tests. Declining positive tests. Okay, yeah, I'll go there. Now in the past few weeks.
How old is that copy?
Yeah, it's just from yesterday. Now in the past, just listen. Jeez. Now in the past few weeks, you just like stamping on the punchline, Dvorak. Never mind. Now in the past few weeks, the COVID Delta variant is reversing trends with hospitalization up and some locales and organizations implementing mask mandates. This fluid situation has everyone on the edge. Visitors and vendors and visitors alike are wondering what to do. MFJ canceled last week. DX Engineering called today to cancel. But just as many vendors have called recently to say they are still coming. In an earlier post, the Huntsville Ham Fest encouraged everyone attending to be vaccinated. We're going further in this post to strongly recommend, for the sake of everyone attending, and then going home to their families, to wear a mask. To wear a mask. This follows CDC guidance at this time. At this late date, the Huntsville Ham Fest is contractually committed to hosting the show. The only reason for canceling would be a mandate from local or state government banning indoor mass gatherings. From the beginning of our planning, the Hamfest board has taken steps to ensure the safety of our guests. 12-foot aisles in an expanded space with hand sanitizer, social distancing signage throughout the hall will allow visitors and vendors to safely gather. We will continue to be the world's friendliest Hamfest, but without the handshakes and hugs this year. 73 Huntsville Hamfest board.
Okay. That's kind of a weird press release.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it is what it is. So that's the Huntsville Ham Fest. And, of course, if you're listening to this on the day it was released, the QSO Today Virtual Ham Expo is still upcoming. It's coming up very, very soon. So if you want a ticket to it, a $10 ticket, you should go get one.
I think it's 12 something now, isn't it?
Oh, it's 12 something now because the early bird is over?
I believe so, if I'm correct, but I could be wrong.
So what is the actual link? Is QSOVirtualHamExpo.com? Is that right?
Sure.
I mean, it's going to be in the show notes, but
QSOTodayHamExpo.com.
QSOTodayHamExpo.com. So the word virtual doesn't show up in there. Okay.
No, it's in the title in the page that you go to. Yeah. And it starts in 21 hours from the recording of this podcast.
Yeah. So be there because we have.
So technically, it'll start the day this is released.
And it costs $12.50.
Yes.
Oh, no, wait. It's still $10. It's still $10, yeah. So I guess at 5 o'clock tomorrow it goes to $12.50.
Ah, okay.
Okay. And
yeah,
our
$12.50
talk
at the door when the expo opens.
Our talk will be at 11 a.m. Central. That's 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Mountain.
Bill's time, yeah.
Yeah, at noon Eastern on Saturday, August the 14th. So if you want to see our talk, that's when it will be.
And it's 1 hour long, and it'll be live.
Right.
And it'll be on Zoom. So there you go.
Yep. And if you want to participate, we highly encourage it.
There's only 2 other talks at the time that
which
we
are
were
largely
in competition with. Right. Contesting the second step and DVB S2 base transponder demo. So that's our competition. So
yeah,
nobody needs to go to that. So
you
need to come talk to us. Yeah,
absolutely. And we're just kidding, people. Do not take it. Do not think we are crapping on other presenters. The last thing.
Those of you that pay the $10, those of you that get a ticket, you'll be able to watch them all in the History Channel or whatever. The after show playback. So,
and at some point, all of our listeners will be able to listen to this show because it will be released as an episode. So.
Yeah, and since I think we're just releasing the audio, we should be fine because he's holding back video, basically recordings. Which ours is different, anyways. It's not like we didn't do a special talk; we're just doing a live Q&A. So it's nothing. We didn't create any special content. We're just doing it on the fly. Right, we're special.
because we are what we are.
Yeah, we'll see how it comes off. We're gonna do a quick overview of free open source software for your desktop, your ham shack, and then we'll just go straight into Q&A, and hopefully that's all we'll do is just answer questions and stuff like that.
And because we are who we are and we do what we do, and even though it's going to be sort of early in the morning, if you want to bring some like really cool whiskey, I'm not saying you can't.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, we have no problem with day drinking. So,
nope. Especially not on that day.
Yeah, it's the weekend. It doesn't count. Day drinking starts, that's only during the week when you're at work.
All right, very good. So that's the QSO Today Virtual Ham Expo. We hope we see you there. For the Linux and the Ham Shack Ham Radio Challenge this week, I put in try something digital, also known as fake ham radio, as Bill calls it. Try something. It doesn't have to be digital that uses the internet. It can just be digital, but try something like DMR, System Fusion, B25, NXDN, All Starlink, Echolink, or something else. There's all kinds of digital technologies out there. Give one of them a try, or try a new one. Try something you haven't tried. So there we go. And that means we're moving into this weekend in open source, getting out of the clutches of amateur radio and moving into Linux and open source. And Bill is going to tell us about a new release of Elementary OS, which he's been playing around, and tell us if you should try it too.
Yeah, this is your distro to try for this weekender, and it's the Elementary OS 6 Odin release. And from the copy on the release, they say it's been a long road to Elementary OS 6. What with the whole global pandemic dropped on us in the middle of development, but it's finally here. Elementary OS 6 Odin is available to download now, and it's the biggest update to the platform yet. With OS 6, they're going to call it OS 6. We've focused in on empowering you to be in control and express yourself. Express yourself. Okay. Anyway, continuing to innovate with new features and making Elementary OS easier to get and more inclusive. Improvements of note are the sexy dark mode, App Center and Flatpak integration, multi-touch, which is really slick if you happen to have, a trackpad or something that handles multiple finger input. They do that, the 3-finger swipe. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that if you have that enabled on your Mac, and a few other devices can handle a 3-finger swipe. They have an updated notifications task item. They have the task app that they built for it, and so that looks pretty slick. They have firmware updates, so as long as your hardware is under the Linux firmware update project hardware list, they'll have the firmware updates in the update center, and much more. And we're going to take this for a spin on LHS readiness, so be on the lookout for that. I might be reinstalling all of my boxes here because it is gorgeous. So check that out for your distro hopping madness on this fortnight.
Sounds good. Look forward to your review on the next episode. But with that said, let's move on to upcoming open source events. And unfortunately, August is apparently a really crappy time for open source events. There just aren't really that many of them. So most of these are later in September and actually into October, which actually makes my job a little bit easier because we can talk about these for the next month. But we'll let Cheryl handle the open source events, and she'll tell you all about what's coming up soon.
Alrighty then. Our first one is the Linux Plumbers Conference. It is September 20th through the 24th, 2021. It's online, and it's $50. And no, this is not about flushing your toilet or plumbing your shower. It's actually a conference for developers for the open source community. The LPC brings together the top developers working on the plumbing of Linux, kernel subsystems, core libraries, windowing systems, etc., and gives them 3 days to work together on core design problems. The conference is divided into several working sessions focusing on different plumbing topics, as well as a general paper track. A good topic will cut across community boundaries and should generate vigorous discussion leading to beneficial change. The second one is the Open Source Summit. It is September 27th through the 30th. It's online. The cost varies from $50 to $1,250. The information on that is the Open Source Summit is the leading conference for developers, architects, and other technologists, as well as open source community and industry leaders to collaborate, share information, learn about the latest technologies, and gain a competitive advantage by using innovative open solutions. Open Source Summit connects the open source ecosystem under one roof. It covers cornerstone open source technologies, helps ecosystem leaders to navigate open source transformation with the Diversity Empowerment Summit, and tracks on business and compliance. It delves into the newest technologies and latest trends touching open source, including networking, cloud native, edge computing, AI, and much more. It's an extraordinary opportunity for cross-pollination between the developers, sysadmins, DevOps professionals, and IT architects driving the future of technology. The last one is the Linux Security Summit. It is September 29th through October 1st. It's online. The cost of that is $50 to $250. The Linux Security Summit is a technical forum for collaboration between Linux developers, researchers, and end users. Its primary aim is to foster community efforts in analyzing and solving Linux security challenges. This year's event will be held in a hybrid format. Registrants can choose to attend in person in Seattle or virtually. In-person attendees will be required to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and wear a mask while on site at the event. Additionally, all attendees will need to comply with all on-site health measures in accordance with the Linux Foundation Code of Conduct.
And like I said, those are over a month out, so that's just kind of way the open source events are falling right now. August is apparently the time when everybody just wants to stay home next to the air conditioner and not do anything. So look for those in mid-September.
Plus, a lot of people are getting kids back in school.
Well, that's true. I mean, there's any number of reasons not to have conferences in August. But next, for the Linux in the Ham Shack Open Source Challenge, I put use a Raspberry Pi or other single-board computer system with an open OS to do something useful or fun. And Bill and I have been sort of batting this around a little bit over the past month or two. And at some point, we will be doing, a deep dive into retro gaming. Because it's something that I have been doing a lot, and it involves single-board computers and open-source software. It's really kind of a cool thing. So, stay tuned for a deep dive into retro gaming, if that's kind of your thing. Or even if it's not, it'll still be interesting. Is it raining again? Is that coming through your microphone?
It is pouring down rain.
Yeah, I know, but you're not muted, right? Because, you've got
No, not right now.
Yeah. I can almost hear it louder through your microphone than I can, like, in real life.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just...
Let's start talking about some food then.
Yeah, let's start talking about food. It's like rainy day food now, too. So what do we have for...
I love a rainy night. Ooh, ooh.
I love Eddie Rabbit, man. I'll play that stuff. Don't tempt me. All right, Cheryl's Recipe Corner is upcoming. We have slid very... sort of weirdly into hedonism, but here we are. It's a rainy night, and what do we got for good food to go with a rainy night?
Well, this time I decided to share my recipe for Rangoon stuffed chicken. I decided to take off on a kitchen adventure last week, and I mixed together some chicken and crab Rangoon filling, minus the crab, of course, which you could put crab in it if you wanted to. I'm pretty sure Russ liked it.
Oh, this stuff is amazing. I mean, if you've ever had a crab Rangoon, you sort of know that, like, garlicky, seafoody, amalgam of, cream cheese and all that kind of stuff. And then if you stuff a chicken breast with it and then bake it, it's truly transcendent. It's really good stuff.
So there you go. You got it straight from Russ. So in order to make this, I used 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, 8 ounces of softened cream cheese, a half cup of sliced green onions, 2 tablespoons of honey, a dash of Worcestershire, salt, pepper, and garlic powder to taste. And I do everything by taste in the kitchen. So you'll have to bear with me on that and just kind of add to your liking. 5 eggs beaten, some panko breadcrumbs, and some Thai sweet chili sauce. I flattened my chicken. I mixed together the cream cheese, green onion, honey, Worcestershire, salt, pepper, and garlic powder. I stuffed the chicken breast with that mixture. saving a little bit of the filling to put on top of the chicken when it came out of the oven. I dipped it in an egg, dipped it in panko, dipped it in egg again, dipped it in more panko, so it was well coated. And I baked it I air fried it at 25 minutes at 400 degrees. I prepared mine a little differently than my recipe. I've retyped out the recipe, so I think we could go a little less on the time, for probably 20 minutes. Once it was done, I placed a dollop of the filling on top and drizzled it fairly heavy with the sweet Thai chili sauce.
That's so good.
That was our dinner.
Yeah, that little extra kick from the Thai chili sauce. Yeah, that's the pièce de résistance. So it's very good stuff.
Okay.
What was that laugh for?
You. I don't know that you ever get that excited about my food, so, but.
Do you see how fat I am? I mean, come on. I mean, I don't have to say it, do I? I mean. Oh, and you're going into one of my favorite drinks that no one knows how to make, including myself.
Well, here you go. Here's the recipe.
No, I've seen the recipe, but it involves egg whites. See, that's the thing. Anytime, well, actually, does this one have egg whites?
No, it doesn't. No, Singapore slings don't involve egg whites.
I thought they did. I thought that was
No, I looked at like 30 different recipes because I thought they did too, and none of them called for egg white.
Well,
so I don't know
I'm going to have to revisit this.
Thinking of. There you go.
So go ahead, tell us about it.
All right, so anyway, the drink recipe is the Singapore Sling, which would be a great cocktail to go with your Rangoon chicken. You need 1.5 ounces of gin, a half ounce of cherry brandy, a quarter ounce of Cointreau, a quarter ounce of Benedictine, 4 ounces of pineapple juice, a half ounce of lime juice, a third of an ounce of grenadine, a dash of Angostura bitters, and some ice cubes, and an optional pineapple and or maraschino cherry for garnish. Put everything in your shaker except for your cherry and your pineapple. Shake until chilled. We'll put it over ice, obviously. Shake until chilled, and strain it into a chilled glass, like a hurricane glass. Garnish with your pineapple or cherry, and serve it cold. So.
Okay, how did I must have been looking at something else, because I could have sworn a Singapore Sling used egg whites, but apparently it doesn't. But there's a couple of ingredients in there, there's one ingredient in there, Benedictine, which we don't have. So,
right.
So maybe it is time to buy some Benedictine. So, because we have everything else. We have cherry brandy, we have Cointreau. Well, we could use triple sec for Cointreau. We can use grenadine. Yeah, Angostura bitters. I think we have everything else. Just don't have Benedictine. So,
right.
Next on the booze list.
There you go.
All right, very good. So yeah, actually those would go really well together. A Singapore Sling, which is, like I said, one of my favorite drinks, but maybe I'm thinking of something else because, like I said, I thought it had egg whites in it. So moving on, we come down to my drink corner for tonight, and somehow I went through the list of reviews that I've done, and I have not done this one, and I have no idea how I skipped over it. Does anyone remember me saying I wasn't going to review Buffalo Trace? Because I don't remember saying I wasn't going to review Buffalo Trace, but for some reason I haven't yet done it.
You've worked around it.
I apparently have worked around
heavily.
It. Yeah. And I reviewed other things that come from Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, for sure.
But
including the cigar, right?
Well, yeah.
You haven't reviewed it.
Yeah.
You did smoke it.
I did smoke it, yes. But for some reason, I haven't reviewed Buffalo Trace, so let's go ahead and do that now. On their website, where they get creative with their descriptions, they say, ancient buffalo carved paths through the wilderness that led American pioneers and explorers to new frontiers. One such trail led to the banks of the Kentucky River, where Buffalo Trace Distillery has been making bourbon whiskey the same way for more than 200 years. In tribute to the mighty buffalo and the rugged, independent spirit of the pioneers who followed them, we created our signature Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. So, yeah, I guess so. I actually have two versions of it. I have the stuff that just comes straight off the shelf, and I have a store pick. This is a review of the non-store pick. This is just the regular one, which you should be able to find pretty much anywhere at this point. It's an allocated bourbon, but it's not so allocated that you can't find it. The mash bill on Buffalo Trace is Buffalo Trace mash bill number 1. They don't disclose their mash bills. They just call them mash bill number 1 and mash bill number 2. The proof on it is 90 proof, 45% ABV. Of course, the distillery is in Frankfort, Kentucky. It's a medium amber color. And one of the things about Buffalo Trace that most people will say about it is that Buffalo Trace sort of defines bourbon. If you find any other bourbon that calls itself a Kentucky straight bourbon, you can find most of the notes in those other things, and probably other stuff as well, that you will also find in Buffalo Trace. So you could call it the standard, I guess, of Kentucky straight bourbon. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but it has all of those characteristics. On the nose, it has vanilla, caramel, cherry, a light citrus, dried grass, mild oak tannin, and clove honey. On the taste, it has honey, light spices like, kitchen spices, toffee, citrus, oak, and brown sugar. And the finish is actually medium to long. It's got a good mouthfeel. It's kind of oily, kind of keeps everything on the tongue and on the palate for quite a while. It has what you would consider traditional bourbon flavors like vanilla, toffee, oak, cherry, maybe mint, and some of the other things that are generally like if you see a tag cloud of, flavor profiles of bourbon, they're all in there. So it's a solid choice. It's allocated. It's not everywhere all the time, but it's pretty easy to find. And a fifth of it costs about $25. So it's certainly super affordable. And if you have it in your bar, like a bottle of Buffalo Trace next to a bottle of Jack Daniels, people will actually think better of you. So you should definitely have a bottle. And at $25, you really can't go wrong. It's not the best bourbon ever, but it is sort of a de facto standard of bourbon. And as such, I think it deserves a 90 on the 100-point scale. It's reasonably good. It's reasonably cheap. It's reasonably accessible. And it tastes a little bit like every other bourbon you've ever had. So that's Buffalo Trace Kentucky.
But it's more than just like Basil Hayden, right? Where it's bourbon flavored,
right? Nothing
afterwards,
right? This is an actual Kentucky straight bourbon bottled at 90 proof.
Oh, okay. So. Oh, okay. Well, it's the real stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Good. Yep. Not vodka with whiskey flavoring. So there you go. And Bill, do you have something for us tonight or no?
No, not really. I'm doing that double oaked Heaven's Door.
Heaven's Door, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Which
Bob
I already
Dylan
talked about
whiskey.
before. The Bob Dylan one, yeah. Yep. Just finishing that bottle off. So I'm slowly dwindling my collection down.
Well,
Kentucky, which is sad.
That's what you're supposed to be doing with it. So.
Yeah, I didn't think it'd go so fast. Maybe there's something wrong with me.
You should back the F off.
I have these tiny glasses. I swear I'm not putting more than I'm supposed to in there. So maybe I just get in seconds more often.
Yeah, maybe so. All right. Well, that brings us down to the end of the program. We've gone through amateur radio. We've gone through open source. We've gone through hedonism. What we haven't done is talked about the folks who joined us tonight for the live program. We had Don KC9ZMY, Tony K4XSS, Bryce K0NYX, Darren VK60K, Steve K7HBT, and John K1BTZ. Thanks everybody for being here. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate everybody who joins us on our social media networks, who supports us financially, and who just listens to the show and all of our stupid antics every time we put one out. And we hope, if nothing else, you get a little bit of an education on something, you learn something, you have a little bit of entertainment. Just keep coming back for the episodes as they come out. So with that, we'll go ahead and close this one down. Say thanks once again, and we hope we'll see you around for the next one. This has been episode number 424, the 76th edition of The Weekender on Linux in the Ham Shack. I'm Russ, K5TUX.
I'm Cheryl, W5MOO.
And I'm Bill, NE4RD 73.